Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So, I was doing a little bit of weird alchemy this morning, and I'm going to take you on this trip with me. We'll see how this worked. Okay, so this is a boiled book. It is a little different than my normal boiled books. First of all, it is not on watercolor paper. It is on construction paper. So children's construction paper in shades of like gray and taupe. So there's a lot of iron in this. It's very, very dark, which is exactly what I was going for, so don't be alarmed. I wanted to make some almost black papers, or gray papers, and I've used some funeral compost, so graveyard compost, in our local graveyard. Yes, graveyard. There's actually a huge compost pile that's just full of like all the old flowers that get removed on a weekly basis. So I definitely do scoop them from there. So there's also a lot of iron oxide that I have used in here. So this top one unfortunately got a little torn, but it's okay because it's still very, very usable. So I'm going to just start to take everything out of here. You're going to see plants and metal things. So I'll try to remember what these things are, but most of the color here will be very dark, as intended, and that's caused by the iron. Now this piece of metal, I was trying to actually rust it. I cannot get this thing to rust, so I'm guessing that it is not something that will rust. So I think I will just forego trying anymore. But I did try. I got so many great rusty bits though. Maybe I'll show this to you afterward. But so this is eucalyptus. I'm going to show you what this looks like after it's dry at the very end of this video. But for now, let's just do a nice unveiling of this paper. So, what do I have to say about construction paper? So, it is quite durable. I would say it's as trustworthy as a watercolor paper, in that it doesn't tear easily. So, I got some of that nice chain there. Maybe I will not forgo that chain. Alright, let's set it off to the side instead of in the trash. Oh geez. I threw it in my desk trash, which has all this thread in it from... I did so much cleaning today. Oh my goodness. My whole studio. I am rearranging it. All because I cannot find my jelly plates. They're in this plastic, like, square bin, and I cannot find them. These were little purple flowers. Most of the images you're going to see are going to be like ghosting type images because the flowers will act as kind of a seal, a negative space kind of seal on the paper, to prevent the iron from getting underneath. So I have this big, huge tub of rusty things in rusty water, and I needed to today like basically separate all of the rusty water out, so I strained it into another jar because I want to use it for creating iron blankets for when I'm doing my eco printing this summer. So I've been trying to get going on that process a little bit. Look at these images. Oh, let me get rid of my annoying phone. And yeah, so I strained all my water out, left all my rusty bits in, and I also had soaked a whole bunch of nice rusty bits for the front of journals and stuff, and so yeah, I had a fun morning doing all that. These are rose petals from these very light pinky roses that were actually relatively fresh still, which was kind of cool. So yeah, there's a lot of iron oxide on this. You can actually see the rust coming off. So, oh, it's going to be so nice, this paper, when it's all dry. Okay, I'm just going to get any little organic bits here that I can take off. Get all of them off. Rose petals specifically are really great on paper. They're easy to remove, they're durable, they don't like cause a lot of trouble, like some plants do. Okay, so over here we've got some, this is like a, I don't know, it's like a fern type plant that gets thrown in with like flower arrangements, but it really does print some beautiful prints. Okay, so look at this. See how grungy and cool is this? So this is much darker than like your typical eco printing, right? Usually when I do eco printing, you're going to see on watercolor paper, you're going to see like more variance to the color. But this I overwhelmed on purpose with iron. I really wanted to create some heavy iron color here. Let's get all these rose petals up. And I'm going to be hanging these sheets on a drying rack. These are really nice big sheets that I got at a thrift store, actually, of this beautiful paper. It's just normal kids, like, paper for, like, you know, school, like construction paper. But look, ghosty and fun images. Okay, and this is more rose petal. These were like a violet color, like a little bit purpley. Now what you'll notice is once these are dry, they're not going to be as dark, which is actually pretty awesome because you'll see the prints even more when they get lighter. So okay, let me back up to this morning and tell you a little bit about what I did. Okay, so after I separated all my rust water from my rusty bits, I took my rusty bits out, and on some of these pages I actually just took rust and rusty water and rust, and I like some of it I actually just rubbed rust over the top. That's the ones that you're seeing the bits of it. Other time I didn't do that on every page. Then what I did was I have like a for plants only. This is a carnation. This is like a stemmy plant with like these weird like white squishy flowers. I don't know what that plant was, sorry. And this is more of the eucalyptus. Anyways, so I started with a pan that I use only for boiled books, and I put a little bit of vinegar in it and a little bit of water, just about an inch or so. And yes, my hands are a disaster. And so I just basically laid down one page folded. And then I just rubbed a bit of rust here. Then I would just throw some flower petals on. And then I would just turn it over here, and then from the water that was in the basin, it was rusty, I would pour it over and just layer as I go. And so it basically protected the paper from ripping. And then I also, look at this. So yeah, see this? This does this. Then I would layer some of my metal things that I have, like this and this. I would layer them with the flowers throughout and just kind of keep going, building up layers and building up layers, and, you know, splashing water over it because the water helps to not allow it to tear as much. So look at that fun, like see where the water dripped into the center there? That was where I had it folded. So now we have this really cool print. Now, I have to flip this one over because there's some roses over here. I'm gonna get those off. So then, once I had all the papers in, I have these very large, heavy metal cogs. I did put some pictures on my Instagram if you need a little bit more kind of images here, because I know I'm like rambling. This is definitely not really a tutorial video. It's just this is how I do things video. So once I got all of the paper in, I had this big stack, all of this. Then I took my heavy cogs and I laid them on top to weigh it all down evenly. Then I just added more water until it was just ever so slightly submerged. Then I covered it with a pan and I boiled it, just boiled it for 1 hour. Then turned it off. I then brought it to my studio sink after it had cooled. It could be handled like after about 15 minutes, and I poured the excess water off. I kept the paper in the pan. Now I usually I usually use like a drying, like a cookie sheet underneath my paper when I lay it in a pan, so that allows me to have like a firm surface to pull it out and none of the paper tears. But I didn't do that today. I just laid it directly in the pan, and I felt like I can pour the water off. Like, again, construction paper is pretty forgiving. So yeah, poured all the water off. Then I've let this sit most of the day just because I've been busy. I haven't had a chance to get to it, and it has just sat most of today doing its thing. And in my experience, that only makes your images nicer. And so now I'm just doing this and getting to it here. So the vinegar does help to keep the color on the paper. Most paper has sizing in it, so you don't have to be as anal as you would be trying to dye fabric or wool. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So see, this one's a little more subtle, right? You can really see the leaves. Yeah, and this is a jar lid, like the canning jar right here. And see the color. So this was some pink. This is from beets. This jar is from beets, and so I got some of the beet color here. And then these were purple carnations. And then this, oh wow, that got a really, I don't know if you can see if this is iridescent. There's a metal cog under here, and for some reason that's totally iridescent. It looks like an oil spill. That's so cool. I don't know why that happened. But, you know, plants and rust do weird things. Okay, so this is one of my cogs. This is a smaller one. I don't use my big ones in the middle because it will tear the paper. And these are some of those flowers that have, like, you know, artificial color on them. But look how cool that purple came out. And that's not even plant. That's on the paper. Wow. Yeah, here's the plant over here. See? So it's the artificial colorant that they put in some flowers to make them look like, you know, like the Gerbera daisies that are kind of all those bright blues and purples and rainbows and things. And then we just got little bits and bobs of, these were like little leaves, I think. Oh no, little flower petals, sorry. They're flower petals from just like a pink flower. Yep, pretty cool. See, I don't know, can you see that? See that rusty iridescent, like it looks like an oil spill? How cool. I wonder what that will look like when it's dry. Okay, now these were purple flowers and these were little white carnations. And we have something pink hiding back inside here. So this is, it's obviously coming from another layer, I think. This is all eucalyptus. And eucalyptus, you can actually, I could take this, keep it, and use it again if I wanted to. Another nice thing that I did a little bit this morning is you can actually, if you have like a spice grinder or an old coffee grinder and you have one that you keep just for doing art or, like, you know, grinding spice or something, you can grind it up into a powder and keep it in a jar. And if you do any kind of eco printing, it's a great way to add color to your paper. You will get, you know, ranges of blacks and browns mainly. But then, you know, with fabric, it can be different depending on your mordant. So here's a rusty jar lid. Okay, so these were more those very dry feeling purple flowers. I'm not sure they did a whole lot other than just create these kind of black hues. Now see, you can tell here, there's lumpy kind of big metal things under here, but you see my paper didn't tear. So I vote for construction paper because it is so reliable. Never try to use like your regular copy paper for this. You will be crying in no time, I swear. I did make an effort and it was not good. There's a little metal bit there. We got a nice mark from it. I haven't done one of these videos in ages. I'm hoping to do more of them, like paper reveals, as the weather is getting nicer and I can find more actual wildflowers and not just graveyard compost, because I'm classy like that. It's fine. It's like I've actually spoken with the person who tends the graveyard about it, and she said to me, "Oh, you know what? It's fine." She said, "Honestly, a day or two after a funeral, if you want to pick up flowers, you definitely can. We're not going to be upset at you for that. A cut flower is a dead flower, and really it's just, we have to clean this all up anyhow." So she was happy to see that they were getting another life, and something that was actually helping them biodegrade faster and more, and yeah, like if you talk to people like that, in your local area, even if you have like a local greenhouse, or even some flower shops and grocery stores that are throwing flowers away, you can make these kind of deals. Like you're not hurting anything. It's just flowers. It's not like. The other thing is sorry, all my junk is here. This is a big tray on my desk. The other thing is that we do a lot of walking in graveyards, because they're actually a wonderful place to hang out during a pandemic. There's no people there, and you can get a lot of nature study, a lot of really beautiful wildlife hang out there, because it's very serene. And where I go, there's actually a nice woods behind, and so I'm able to walk often there and kind of see the seasons changing, and that's nice. And I do a lot of like cleaning up, picking up garbage, and writing things, like little things that fall down, like wreaths and stuff. I put them back up, and I just try to be a very custodian to my environment. So because of that, people, I think, are used to seeing me there, and they know that I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not that much of a rebel. So your fingers are going to get all yuck. Because this is Cindy the Yuck Fingers channel, it's okay. I don't wear gloves here all the time. Sometimes I do if I'm using like an actual a dye, but this is not going to hurt me. So look at that. So yeah, I'm not wearing gloves, but if you don't want your fingers to be stained for days and have your YouTube viewers wonder what is wrong with you, then definitely wear some gloves. I love these cogs so much. Little bits of metal. Okay. Now, kind of got to be a little careful here. I see the cog did kind of cut through this paper a little tiny bit. But another thing about this is a lot of times when you get these little, I got some nice pink there, these little tears in your paper, if you give them a rub while they're wet, you can actually heal them pretty well. Like right here, you see how I've got this little bit here? You can actually just kind of give it a little rub, and when that dries, believe it or not, it probably will heal itself. Like it won't be a complete tear. It'll be thin there, but I've had that happen a few times. I just thought I would give it a try, and surely enough. Okay, and I thought we had some roses back here, which we do. See the color you get from roses, how beautiful it is. You get pinks and purples and black. Okay. White carnation, more of these were pink roses. Nice leafy marks there, or petal marks I should say. Some eucalyptus and a little flower. Okay, where is the end here? Okay, oh, that's why. Got more eucalyptus back here. The eucalyptus gives this nice dotting effect. You can get the same thing from birch tree leaves. They also give a nice dotting effect. Alright, now we got some fun stuff here. That ferny type stuff. I don't have a huge plant variety going on because, there's certain flowers that get used in different seasons by florists for funeral flowers, so you have to get what you can. But I don't know if you can tell, you probably can't, but it's really cool when you look at this in the light, because actually I should turn my light on. Hold on. This light maybe might help. You can see a lot of color and striation, and you can get a bit of an idea of what this is going to look like when it's dry, I think. Some more eucalyptus, and I love eucalyptus. Okay. It also just smells very nice, so when you're doing these projects, it actually is not smelly at all. The flower material that you use, the organic material, has quite a nice scent, to be honest. So here's my cog. Let's get that up, and then I'll move the paper and show you the marks the cog made. So there's two of them, right? Because they're like a mirror image. So this one got that fun kind of oil slick look to it again. I don't know what is causing that. I've used these cogs many times, so it's not any kind of like an automotive oil that was on the cogs, because I wouldn't be seeing it now. I've used them for years, these particular cogs. We got amazing color on this one. Pinks, so nice. And it's all from these little pink carnations. We're getting softer colors here now, which is nice. More pink carnations. And then open this up. We've got some lumpy bits here. Okay, this is the back. Look at the marks from this amazing eucalyptus. And then you'll see here, I used a branch from a plant, like this is like from a carnation, actually, so the stick itself left a nice mark. So let's open this up because there's more inside. Some more eucalyptus and little green leaves off of the roses. And then these two kind of mystery leaves, we'll see what they did. Not a whole lot, just ghosty images, a couple of lines there. That's the thing, when you're experimenting like this, you know, you'll make assumptions like, oh, this really bright plant is going to leave an amazing mark, and then it will leave nothing. And then the drabbest thing will leave a beautiful mark, and often it's to do with the amount of tannin. Like, that's why eucalyptus is so good, because it's full of tannin, so it gives you a lot of nice black mark. But yeah, it's a fun thing to experiment, and you know, keep a notebook if you are familiarizing yourself with plants. If you're combining your dyeing with some nature study, this is a nice way to kind of come up with a library of study. I'll take my cog out of here, and you'll just keep learning more about plants and the colors you can get from them. You can, you know, experiment with dyeing all sorts of things, fabrics and papers, different papers. I started, well, I didn't start my art career with fiber, but I spent a lot of time, and I still do it, and it's, I got really into dyeing and eco-printing as it related to creating color on fabric and wool, and I've just kind of carried it into paper now that I'm, you know, in love with paper. So it's just kind of the continuation on a path for me, which has been very nice. I also find it very relaxing and soothing to do activities like this. The whole process is nice. You go for a nice walk and you collect things, and then you use them, and you get to do these fun reveals. So we got a nice stem. See, we got a mirror image here, both sides, the stem. This one looks almost like a frame, and then I got these big pieces of eucalyptus leaving these beautiful marks. So that one is really nice. Just check both sides for the other side's even nicer. See the lines coming off that? How beautiful. And then these nice big pieces of eucalyptus. These are a different kind of eucalyptus. This is actually my favorite. This is like the coin kind of type of eucalyptus. It's like to live in Australia where you can get all this stuff growing. Oh, it'd be so nice. Like, see, those are great. These are the ones that I think I actually will keep and use again, these particular ones. See, this is the other eucalyptus, and this is the big coin eucalyptus. I'll actually set those aside and reuse them. The other thing about them is they're really flat and clean and nice. Like, they're so easy to use for things. Like, you could dry that and put it into a journal now too after doing all of this with it. Now these are off of these great big irises. I don't know what they're going to do. I've never printed with them. So they're just going to leave a shadow. Just a shadow, and that's okay. I wasn't expecting much, but you know, we try these things. Ugh, look at this piece. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, we got nice prints of those big leaves. Amazing. So here's these big leaves. I'm not sure what these are, but I love the crackling that's going on in this one because it was ripped. Look at that, right? Amazing. These are beautiful. I don't know what these are. They came in the flower arrangement. Oh wow, yeah, they leave some nice speckly bits. I don't think that they'll do a whole lot again though, because that's the tannin coming out of them. And that's the moon side of the plant that's down, so I don't really think we'll get a lot more from them. I won't use them again. The eucalyptus, on the other hand, it actually is more than likely what channeled the tannin in this this leaf, because I think we had some of these earlier on and they didn't leave such an effective mark. So it's probably the tannin from the eucalyptus. Now we have a whole branch of them. Oh goodness, this is going to be amazing. Like, look at this side, and that's the sun side of the plant, which isn't even the one that has the most tannin. So now I'll lift that out, and it's actually quite similar. We did get, yeah, pretty similar prints, but slightly different. We got some purple from whatever's going on the page behind here. I think we have 2 pages together. And we do, and there's not even anything in between them. I just mistook, you know, putting a page down. I accidentally put 2, so we got like a 2-for-1, which is pretty awesome because both pages got amazing marks. So I guess that's a learning thing right there. You know, that's knowledge. We can actually save time and create more paper by using 2 pieces. So these purple no, these weren't carnations. They were something I don't know. They created a lot of purple, and then the baby's breath left a little bit of shadow marking. Okay, then let's open this up. Oh, that's where the purple came from. Yeah, these plants. I don't know what this plant is, but they come in white, pink, and purple, and like they're a long stem that hold a lot of water. The flowers themselves also hold a lot of water, and I don't know what they are, but what I can tell you is they are one of the best plants that you can find to do eco printing with. They always leave a ton of color behind, and it almost looks like the unnatural purple from the fake color, but this isn't that. It's definitely the natural purple of the plant. So yep. Try to find those. And these are more rose petals. Regardless of the color of rose petals, even white ones, you will get this kind of mark, especially if you're using some iron, because it's going to just allow the iron to collect in the creases of the rose. And the rose has, there's a palm leaf, and we got some. The rose has just some good properties to it. So we got some interesting shapes on this one. And then it's shadowed by the palm. And I'll get the rest of these off here. We got some really nice leaf prints from these leaves from the rose plant as well. So this is pretty cool. It almost looks like a drawing. Okay, and then these are more of the rose leaves. So they work really nicely too, along with the petals. These were light purple roses. Which side here? Okay, there we go. Just get these roses off. And we'll open this up. Okay, so there's another one of those plants I was talking about that I said always get them because they leave amazing color. This is a white one. I wasn't sure what it would do, but it didn't really do a lot, but it left some shading. And it, I think, also kind of like added nice variance to the page. So like you can see what's going on with all the rose petals a little more because there's some, you know, white space in the middle. That kind of breaks it up nicely. Oh, there's another rose petal. Okay, just make sure. Okay, so then this was a daisy, a Gerber daisy. I don't think they do a whole lot, but you do get a bit of a nice mark, and I think it will show up a little more after it's dry. These are rose petals, of course, and then this flower in the middle was some kind of a white flower with little tiny bits in the middle, and it didn't really do much of anything, and I was kind of expecting that because it had like a kind of heavy watery feel to it, and sometimes plants that hold a lot of water aren't that great for printing. These are white rose petals, some leafy material. Okay, so then more of that iris leaf, rose leaf over here. These were like big giant pansies, and they leave a little bit of a mark, but you don't get like a pansy color, unfortunately. Okay, more rose petals. When I do this, there's typically a lot of rose petals because that's kind of the most plentiful thing that you get in these kind of flower trips. Okay. There we go. Pick that up. Oh, these left nice marks. It's another one of those pansies. I think the big white flower was a begonia. Begonias are another one that when they're colored, they're kind of like a juicier flower, so you might get good color from them. Not always. I've had mixed results. I'm not sure how to do it predictably. Some colors just work more than others. The reds and the bright pinks are usually really good for creating magenta and purple colors. Okay, we got a lot of nice magenta and purple there, speaking of. Okay, so interesting. These were these those pansy flowers? Yeah, okay, so these ones really took color for some reason. There's a piece of eucalyptus down here. Sometimes I think eucalyptus causes all the magic to happen. And this big leaf, not sure what it was. It almost looks like a grape leaf, but okay, let's hold that up. Look how pretty that one is. Okay. All right, and then these are more rose petals. Okay. Let's get the rest of the rose petals up here. Leaves from the rose, white rose petals and violet rose petals. It's a nice image. All right, these are all petals from the rose. And then these are the pages that were at the very bottom of the pot, I think, or no, the very top of the pot, because I flipped it, I think. Yeah, and they were sitting right under the cogs. So they're a little darker. I think they're also on gray paper. Yeah, because this was the taupe paper maybe. I'm not sure. It really doesn't matter because they're pretty much the same color. Because the iron makes everything darker. Okay. more white rose petals. This is just kind of like I was using up the last of the stuff that I had collected. Yeah, it's all white rose petals. But I mean, it makes a beautiful page. And this isn't really too much effort, to be honest. Yeah, it's, you know, collect flowers, put paper in pot, sprinkle flowers and rusty things. I mean, I guess if you want the iron solution, you have to make that ahead of time. So you need some metal, and to rust it, you basically just use you can use just vinegar and water, and over time it will just rust. You can add salt, you can add peroxide to speed things up. But I always have stuff rusting in my house because of my fabric eco printing. Always doing something with plants and rusty things. Okay. Now, most plants are pretty easy to get off your paper. I would say the exception in common things that I collect are begonias. They're so jelly, like they're hard to get up and they could make a mess on your paper. Some nice speckliness from these petals. That's nice. Makes me wonder if there's eucalyptus on the other side helping that along. But yeah, begonias can be a real pain. Something there. And if you don't get all the flowers off, like all the bits, don't worry. When it dries, they will sweep right off like dry petals. Okay. And that's the thing with, like, if you do get a mushy flower like a begonia, don't worry. Once it all dries, it comes off so easily. You don't need to struggle. Like, don't struggle enough that you'll rip your paper. Just wait until it's dry and then they'll fly right off there. But most stuff will just roll right off pretty easily. So the paper you want to use is watercolor paper or construction paper. And I've even used colored construction paper in really ugly colors like orange before for this technique, and it makes it infinitely nicer. So, yeah. Got some nice markings here. And this is all just white rose petal and iron. And these were sitting right under the cogs, so they did get a good amount of iron. There's some browning on there from the cogs themselves. There we go. Okay, that's the end. Alright, so I will hang these to all dry overnight, so the next bit of this video will actually be tomorrow, and you'll see what they look like dry. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back in a minute for you and a night for me. Okay, it's the next morning and everything is all dry, so I will go through and just kind of show you each page. So as you see, it did get lighter, and there's actually more definition in what you're seeing here. The other thing is they're a little bit like still, you know, wavy from being wet. So you could press these papers to get them super flat. You see the big cog here, that's one of the cogs that I lay on top. 2 cogs, and then this is actually a big rusty nail from railroad, like a railway nail to hold down railway ties. Okay, so yep, this one also quite similar to the last. These were the ones that were on top that I was just using up the last of the rose petals. And this one, got a little bit of pink down here. And then this one, it has a lot more color. And it's also, it's the taupe paper. These top papers were the gray paper, but this one's got some purple in it. Really like that one. Just gonna kind of refold it again. Center that fold. And there's my eucalyptus from yesterday. Let me have this one. You can see the nice, these are rose leaves. You can see all of the leafy marks. And then down here we got the whole stem of flowers showing, and the eucalyptus did some nice marks up here. Rose petals on back, and then the big leaf, you can see the whole big leaf there. And on this side you see the edges of the big leaf, how they were kind of jaggedy. So I think when the paper dries is when you can actually really see all of the more fine details. So it gets a lot nicer when it's dry. You don't usually lose detail when it dries. You do sometimes lose the depth of color, like, you know, the paper itself makes everything look a little darker, but I think overall what you get is a more, what you end up seeing is like the complexities of the paper. So like this is a good example. So here we had all of those really fun, both the leaves and the petals of the rose, and then it was sort of shadowed by the palm leaf, so you really see the palm leaf now. Yesterday I could really only sort of see it, but today it's quite evident. And then this one we see the purple again, the blue. Nice big stem. That was from that white stem flower that I said, oh, I don't think it really did very much. And then today we see that it did. And this one, this is a good example of how you can really see a lot more once dry. So look at the details. You can tell this was, you know, you had a strand of flowers. It had a leaf here. It had 3 flowers with multiple petals. And then over here you had the baby's breath. And then on this side, it almost looks like the leaves are still sitting there from these were the coin eucalyptus. You really see the speckling and how they brought out the other leaves on that page. And then the back is quite light. There's a bit of purple, purpley blue. This one is the large stem of leaves. And then we have that amazing coin eucalyptus. These almost look like they could be like fish or something. That's a really nice page. Sorry if I'm like hitting the camera. This paper's quite big. So here's a piece of leaf left over. As I mentioned, they come right off, so not to worry if you have trouble getting them off. But here we had that fun woody stem, and then this was eucalyptus, and then some of my little rusty bit down here. So it's a really grungy, nice paper. And this one you get a lot of the cogs here that were sitting here. The ghosting of the eucalyptus from the prior page and that stem. And then the back has that really nice eucalyptus. I love the colors of this one. That's the one that I think had that large white plant that I had laid in the middle, and it didn't do a whole lot except that it broke up the space, and it really today shows off the details in these leaves. Eucalyptus on the edges here. It's a little bit of a flower. This side we can see some pink from the rose petals. This one's very grungy, lots of iron. We've got the rusty bits here and those purple flowers at the bottom, and there's one of the, you can see the little metal bit. Bye! Bye, baby! That would be my 2-year-old son. And some more of the eucalyptus. Oops, that would be a piece of horsehair. Because why do I have horsehair? For doing raku pottery. You can use horsehair, you lay it down on the surface and it makes these fine burn lines. So yesterday I was doing some studio organizing, and yeah, I have this jar of horsehair that anyways, these are the rusty cogs. This one left a really cool impression. I don't know if this is the one that looked like an oil slick when it was wet, but it doesn't have the same sheen anymore. I think it may have been. It was like these ones. It lost that sheen, sadly, but look at the purple. It's so fun. Now this page is particularly bent kind of in a wonky. Again, it can be flattened. Another thing that you can do is either at this stage or at the prior stage before drying completely, I could just dip them quickly in warm water to just make them wet again and then lay them flat to dry. I truly don't mind though. That's really cool. This was those fern type stems. And then on the back you got the plain eucalyptus, which gives us the speckles in here. And the canning jar lid, we got lots of rust and orangey purple. Oh, the oil slick, it's still there. Do you see that? Hopefully this is picking up on the camera. You can see like a rainbow of iridescent colors. Oh, yay! Alright, I need to figure out how to do that on a more predictable, repeated basis, because that's awesome. Okay, so another one with the can lid, and lots of iron on this page. This one is so fun and grungy. This is iron and rose petals and a little stem of small roses. And then we have some pink flowers here. And then those cogs. A little bit of a flower there. Okay, this one is really fun and grungy. I love the depth of the black and the rust. Oh, so fun. And the back's really cool. This one had chain on it, so you can see the fine little bits of the chain. And on the back was the large flat piece of rusty cog and a little loopy screw in the middle. Screw with a circular head. Okay, and then this is the one where that big chain was that I almost got rid of, but I've now decided to keep it because it makes really nice marking. Let's just refold this here. So yeah, the back is really grungy and fun. And you can really see the eucalyptus and then the rust on the back. Look at that. Isn't that fun? A little bit of leaf left over. There we go. On the inside, these ones I think are among my favorites because of just the, it's like black that's so black it's blue almost. Like it's just deep, deep black. And this is the Super Grunge page. This is the one that I rubbed the rust right onto. Like the foam that you get from making rusty water. And this is the one that got that bit of tearing in the center. But again, it doesn't matter because honestly, you could take away the weakest bit, like the center, right? And actually, it's not that weak. And then you have this fun little like peekaboo kind of area, right? Depending on what you put behind it, you could do something really cool with that. But overall, I really only got, I think, out of this whole group, 2 tears. One is really small from one of the cogs cutting through. So here is a whole, see the whole stem and leaves that were left behind, and then the back. Amazing, right? So yeah, I think that page and then one other one that got a little cog tear. That's all the tearing that happened in the whole batch. So I definitely recommend this, oh, got a bit of rust there, we'll get that off. I definitely recommend this method of eco-printing on your construction paper. Use construction paper, it's great. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Now for this page, this one is probably the heaviest rust content. Because it was the first page that I put in that I rubbed it really heavily on. So I'm actually just going to go over it with a baby wipe real quick and just remove any excess rust. Just on this side, because I could see that there were bits there. So, and yeah, like there's still, oh no, that was from the table. I was like, oh, there's still eucalyptus. So yeah, you can see, right, there's still rust just sitting on top. So it's just this one because it was the top page where I used really heavy rust. All the others didn't have that same feel. Yeah, and the inside doesn't. It's just the outside. So we got all that rust off, and now we just have cool paper. So yeah, that is the eco-printing on construction paper. So give it a try if you have, you know, some scrap metal bits and you have some flowers. I did give some recommendations about where to get flowers for free. Again, you can go to graveyards. They usually have compost piles toward the back of the cemetery where they throw the old flowers. Sometimes they do end up in trash cans that are around the cemetery. If you choose to pull them out of there, just, you know, be careful because people also like to throw things like dog poop in those cans. So just be careful. And also, like, you can go places like flower shops and grocery stores and just ask them, like, what do you do with your old flowers? Like, they're dead, they have no more life left to them. Sometimes they do return them to the florist because they have to, like, kind of do like a claims return or whatever on what didn't sell. But sometimes they just rip the stickers off and do that, and then the flowers all end up in the trash. So it's a good way to sort of impact that whole industrial, you know, complex of garbage by taking them out of the garbage, not sending them to a landfill inside plastic. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing this fun technique, you know, this reveal. I'll do more of these. And yeah, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment and let me know. If you enjoyed this though, I'd love it if you subscribed. I do all sorts of kind of different types of videos in the paper, mainly paper, a bit of fiber, a bit of stitching. That's kind of my varied niche. So yeah, it would be lovely to have you, and we'll talk again very soon. Bye for now.